Now we have to understand the mechanism of the lightning strokes. So just consider that there is a cloud. Okay, this is the cloud. Okay, and the ground, and moreover the cloud which is consisting of the both positive and the negative polarity, and this is the ground. Okay, ground. Um, just we are considering it maybe of the tree or some tall towers like structures. So moreover here we are considering that a cloud which is the region of the negative polarity, and this ground which is having the positive polarity. This is for our convenience which we are considering to understand this phenomenon. Okay, so when the electric field intensity at some point in the charge concentration which is exceeds the breakdown value, let's say of 10 kV per centimeter, so there is an initiation of this streamers. So this is nothing but the canal formation. There's nothing but the streamers, or there is a some with a plasma which is start towards the ground. It having the velocity of about 1 by 10th time of that the light, and but maybe progress only of the 50 millisecond. So what do you mean by this? It is having some too many number of the followers. Okay, this is like a followers. Okay, so they have the too many number of the branches. Okay, so which one could be capable to make the contact between the a cloud and the ground? We'll consider it as a cloud, which is consider it as a leader. Okay, so where you can see too many number of the branches with the help of this the figure. So this will come and halt at this point. Okay, after the short interval of the time, let's see of 100 microsecond, this streamers again will start repeating its performance. So because it is gaining the potential again, and it is start jumping, means it is raising their potential, because whatever the field intensity which is got, it is insufficient to build the electric charge of its head, and it's not sufficient to maintain a field gradient between the leader and the ground. So again it is increasing the potential after the short interval time of around 100 microsecond, and the performance is increasing, means it is increasing their potential. So this is the total time required. Okay, step leader to reach the ground, which is around 20 millisecond. So this path might be of the quite lustrous, which is depending upon the local condition in the air as well as the electric field gradients it have. So from these branches, initial ladder may also be formed, since this the progress of this ladder, it may be happening by of the series of the jumps, and it is considered as a stepped ladder, which is explained, which is shown in the voice camera. So what does this ladder will do? This ladder will, okay, this is consider what I am considering it is a ladder, will come and halt itself, and it will raise the potential. Okay, and it start jumping and raise the potential, and it start jumping, and this will make the contact between this cloud and the ground. Then we will call it, consider it is considered as a step ladder, and it is also mainly depending upon the lot of the parameters of the potential gradient and the air density, all those things. So hence that lightning consisting of a few separating discharges, which are starting from a leaders and culminates in return strokes or the main descent. This is nothing but what we understand here. It is okay. What we understand this concept is, so whenever this is making the point of the contact, this is step ladder. So there is an again some return path. Okay, at this point, this is nothing but which is moving from a ground to the cloud. Okay, ground to the cloud. Then we can call it is a return path. So The velocity of this leader strokes of the first discharges is around 1.5 10 to the power of 7 centimeters per second, and this succeeding leaders having the strokes of the velocity of around 10 to the power of 8 centimeters per second. So this is nothing but the step ladder what we are talking, and there is a return stroke having a velocity of 1 to the point 1.5 10 to the power of 9 to 1.5 10 to the power of 10 centimeters per second. Just to imagine that what is the time taken to return this phenomenon. Okay, so there is a ladder which is touching and there is a return path. Okay, this is a return path and this is the ladder. Okay, so whenever this leader, okay, this is the leader which is touches the ground, there is a return stroke, which is this is the return stroke. Okay, blue color what I am reading here follows as the leader which is moves towards the ground and which is carrying the polarity of that's what we're talking. It is polarity of a positive. Okay, directly which is going to accumulated under the head of the strokes. So at this time, this is the stroke which is reaching to the ground, or this is makes uh, sufficient to make the point of the contact. So resulting in which is sufficient to build a large path between the cloud and the ground. So hence what will happens, a positive charges which is going to return to the cloud. Okay, this means that, so what we understood, this is a negative polarity of which is building, resulting in building, and it will contact between the ground, and this is carrying ladder which is carrying the negative polarity and make the contact between the ground, and there is a return stroke which is moving from ground to the cloud, it having the polarity of the positive. So hence what will happens, there is a resulting in a neutralization of the cloud which is going to takes places. So hence what will happens, there is a heavy current which is flows through the path between the leader and the return. So what is the velocity which you are going to consider, this the point. Okay, this is the point. So this return of the velocity will be range around 0.05 to 0.5 times of the velocity of the light. And what is the charge of the current which is considering, it is 1000 amperes to 2,50,000 amperes of the current. So just to imagine that, so this is the point what we consider. Okay, cloud and the ground, this is the, okay, this is the point where we consider. So this is the step ladder and there is a return stroke. Okay, there is a return path, this is the return path. Okay, this is the return. So what is the current which is of around 1000 to 2,50,000 amperes of the current with a velocity of around 100 to 1000 megavolt. So if you combine with that, just imagine that what is the total amount of the current which is going to be carried by each lightning. Just remember that the leader is not responsible for the phenomenon of this the lightning. The return stroke which is going to cause the more effective than the stepped leader. That's what we should understand. Okay. So this duration or the main return stroke which will be around, which is going to take places within 100 microsecond, or sometimes it is might be greater than that. Then what is the total diameter of this return stroke which you are considering? Okay, it will be around 1 to 2 centimeters. Okay, what is, if you consider this is the total the radius, total area of the cloud which is around varies from 200 meter to around 10 kilometers. Okay, let's see, it is varies from 200 to, okay, 200 to 10 kilometer of the radius of the cloud. Okay, so what is the responsible for making this of the corona envelope, which will be estimated around 1.1 to 2 centimeter, means very small amount of the contact which will lead to that the point of the discharge between the cloud and the ground. And sometimes this corona envelope may be approximately varies around 50 centimeters. So after this completion of the return stroke, okay, there is a smaller current. Let's consider that 100 to 1000 amperes of the current, which is going to continuously flows and which is going to persist approximately for the 20 millisecond. Means whenever there is a stroke which is takes place, is that there is again the current, a small amount of the current which is going to take place between these two cloud and the ground. And so due to this the current, so there is an initial breakdown, points in the cloud are considerably reduced, and the discharge concentration towards this point. So therefore there is an additional reservoir of the charges which is going to become available due to this penetration of the clouds, are known as generally we will consider it as path, and this will lead to that there is a formation of the repeated stroke between these two. So leader strokes of the repeated strokes which is going to progress with a much less velocity, that's nothing 1% of that light, and it do not having any some sort of the branches. And this is nothing but we can call it as a continuous leader, and there is a return stroke for this leader which is followed with a much less amount of the current. So the interval between the repeated strokes maybe varies from 0.6 millisecond to 500 millisecond with an average of around 30 millisecond. And the multiple strokes which maybe takes place it means it may be present for of 1 second as well. So by this what we can understand is the total duration of the lightning may be extend up to 1 second. From this the current from the ground and to the return, it has some peak value of the current around 2 lakhs 50,000 amperes of the current, and the rate of the rise may be varies from 10 kilo amperes per microsecond or 10 to the power of 11 amperes per the second. So the time interval between the successive strokes and the number of the strokes and the duration of the lightning and duration of lightning discharges, the discharge current and the rate of the rise of the current and the wave tail and the wave tail and the probability of the distribution which is shown by okay, which is shown by these waveforms. Okay, from this we can see to that. So this is the time of the interval between successive strokes that we can see to that. So initial there is a there is some frequency of the occurring is high, then it start decreasing. Okay, means it may have some initial strokes. It will have a 2 number of strokes at the initial point. So which stroke which is make the contact, that is going to consider as a stepped ladder. Okay, then we have the number of the lightning discharges. Okay, so this is the frequency of the by ERA average curve, and this is nothing but the cumulative distribution of the lightning strokes for the peak values according to the different theories. That's nothing different standardization AIE committee 950. Okay, Anderson CGIRE. Then we have time to peak of the lightning strokes by different concept. Okay, this is the probability of exceeding time to peak. Just to see to that whatever the things which are considering it is in terms of the microsecond. Okay, and these are the wavefront and wave tail time for the strokes. Just to see to that, this is less than absence, that is nothing but what is the energy which is associated during the return stroke is higher, means the highest compared to that the making of the contact. First means the first leader, and next one is the rate of the rise of the current lightning strokes by different concepts. Okay, that we have to understand. So how actually there is a lightning phenomenon will make the contact between cloud and the ground, and I told that so 95% of the lightning which is takes place between a cloud to the cloud, and only of 5 to 10% of the lightning which is going to take place between a cloud to the ground. So this is how actually responsible responsible for the formation of the lightning, and which is the energy which is associated with that.